So if you're just tuning in to my channel, thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for joining. It is Fibroids Awareness Month, so we're talking about all types of things around fibroids. I'm very passionate about this topic. I want to be able to help. So I have a lot of material from my own fibroid journey that I went through. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. So this is a series of videos. I will be wearing the same thing. Just to let everyone know, because it's a series of videos about different topics around fibroids. So I wanted to be able to share with you guys some of my insights, just in case some of you are going through this same struggle, to kind of not be afraid, in case you need some helpful tips, in case you want to know some helpful things around dealing with fibroids. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that there is not a lot of information online in regards to how to go about this whole process when it comes to fibroids. So that's the reason why I was so passionate about sharing the information that I had. Within this series of videos, I'll be sharing a ton of information, but today what I wanted to share was 4 tips pretty much on the things that you should really take into consideration once you're diagnosed with fibroids. The first thing is searching for a reputable doctor. Just like not every teacher is a good teacher, not every doctor is a good doctor. So it's really important that you search for someone reputable for your specific issue. There are certain gynecologists who have awards when it comes to like the research of fibroids. There are certain gynecologists that are just generally a little bit more well-versed when it comes to those types of issues. So do your research. One of the things that I did is I did go to the U.S. News World Report, and I did look up doctors in my area. The good thing about that report is it literally will list doctors in your area by specialty. So I went to OBGYN surgeons, I went there, and I also tried to look for people who had a specialty not just in OBGYN surgery, but also in fertility, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to have kids, and I wanted to make sure whoever was looking at that kind of had a specialty in both of those things, or experience in both of those things. Again, I'm not a doctor. So, definitely ask a doctor about any of the things that I am telling you, but I know for me, that helped a ton. When I went to that site, I was able to pick out some doctors based on their credentials. After that, I actually went on to look at their reviews. There's several different tools that you could use to look at a doctor's reviews online. I literally had doctors who had practices, so I looked at their practice reviews. You have to be careful with those reviews too, because I read through them, to see exactly what those reviews about. Sometimes people will review about the overall practice. So they may just say something like, oh, they didn't answer my call, or something like that. And it doesn't have to do with the surgeon. You have to think about it. If you're going into this and you're getting surgery, you have to think about what is the reputation of the surgeon. Because that's really going to be important, because sometimes the surgeon, like in my situation, the surgeon did the surgery in a completely different hospital. They didn't do it in their practice. So you have to think about it in that way. The other thing is check with work. Check with work. You really want to make sure that you understand your workers' comp stuff, that you understand like how that's going to work when you're out, because if you do plan on having a surgery, or if your doctor tells you that surgery is the best option or the option that you're going to take, you need to make sure that you have enough time off of work. You do need up to 4 to 6 weeks. That's just a good time for you, because your body is not going to be 100% there, and you don't want to rush yourself back to work. Because one thing that I realized after reading so many people's reviews and post-surgery, everyone's body's going to be different. So some people, they'll be back up in 2 weeks. Some people, they're out for the count for 2 months. So everyone's body's going to be different. I can say for me, I wasn't working out heavy before I had this surgery. I was 32 when I had the surgery. I wasn't eating that healthy, to be honest, but I don't have any underlying health issues. So for me to be back on my feet in terms of like taking walks and like moving around myself, it was about 2.5 weeks. It wasn't a drastically long time. And then by the time 4 weeks happened, I was already, you know, socializing again and going out again and doing things like that. So it's going to be different for everyone. I would say, you know, just pace yourself. And don't go into it with any terrible expectations like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever for me to recover, because that's not true for everyone. Some people recover very quickly. I was one of those people that recovered very quickly. Some people recover slowly. Another thing is check your insurance. That's really important because you want to know how much this is going to cost. These surgeries, if you don't have insurance, and if you don't have good insurance, can cost upwards of maybe $20,000 out of pocket. So you want to make sure that you look at that before you have the surgery, so you're not running into all of these problems. Another thing that you need to be sure about is there is a lot of different tests that you have to have run before you get this surgery. There is a pelvic ultrasound that they'll ask you to do. There is an MRI that they will ask you to do. Make sure you don't get the CAT scan, because I made that mistake and I got a CAT scan and I had to go back and get an MRI. There are tests and labs that you have to do before this surgery happens. They don't actually tell you that up front. So I'm going to tell you that I think there was 4 specific ones that I can remember. There was the pelvic ultrasound. Before you even do that, you go to your regular gynecologist so that they have a regular pap smear, like regular exam with you. And then you have to get an MRI, and then you have to get blood work done. So there is a ton of appointments that you're going to have before you even can schedule the surgery. Okay, so make sure you make time for that, because let's say today you're in July and you want to have the surgery as soon as possible. You're not going to be able to have it immediately if you haven't had all those tests done. So just make sure that you get all those tests done. It's really important. Another thing, pull out my notebook. Know your options. Knowing your options is really, 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 really critical, because you are only as good as the information you have. And sometimes your doctor is not going to remember to give you every single option, because that happened to me. There is a litany of different ways that they can remove a fibroid out of you. Some of them are invasive. Some of them are non-invasive. You need to know every single option. These things are very, very easy to find online. I would recommend like Mayo Clinic, because it's an actual hospital, not just some random website. You should actually go to a medical type of website to actually look at those different options. But there is a laparotomy, there is laparoscopic, there's robotic laparoscopic, there is UFE procedures. So there is a ton of different procedures that you can get. Depending on your life plan, depending on where you are in your life, it's going to kind of change which one that they're probably going to recommend for you. But you want to make sure that you understand all of those different types of procedures that you can get, so you can ask the right questions. For me, I got, I think I got a laparotomy. The last time I checked, because I got the most invasive procedure. The reason why I had to get the most invasive procedure is because I had a lot going on. Like, I had a lot of fibroids in there, and so it just made the most sense for them to do the most invasive for me. So just to let you guys know, I got the most invasive surgery, and I was back up on my feet in 2.5 weeks. So that should just tell you, not everyone's the same. Some people will tell you, oh my gosh, it was horrible and all that other stuff, but it's going to be different for everyone. So I'm just letting you know that now. The last thing is make a care plan. This is going to be really, really critical because when you get back from the hospital, you will not be able to take care of yourself. You won't. That is what I can promise you. It's very important that you work with your family, your loved ones. I'm super organized, so I made a spreadsheet and it had expectations, like this is what I'm gonna need, this is when I need meals, this is when I need groceries, because everyone's busy. And if you are like myself, like I live alone, you need to make sure that you have the support you need for those time frames. So that's what I would tell you in terms of just some helpful tips if you're deciding that you want to have surgery, some of the ways that you should go about it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I have no problem answering any questions. In fact, I would love to answer questions. Please like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching.